cannot hear a thing. What I love the most when I can it
Yeah,
sounds great.
yeah. Some awesome guitar music just played. Okay, so we're going to virtually dub all that stuff in. How's it going, man? Hey, everyone. Welcome to IoT Coffee Talk. What's up, David?
Another day in IoT paradise. Seeing what's moving, what's shaking, and doing our thing, keeping the folks
Cool.
informed with the good news of IoT Coffee Talk.
Yeah, yeah. So I was just Bill. Bill was just there, and Rob was here earlier, maybe about 30 minutes ago, and we just got off stage here at Mountain Connect 2023, and we had a little panel discussion. So they had me moderate, which I didn't really moderate. I mean, it's like IoT Coffee Talk. There is no moderator. You know what I'm saying? It's like ridiculous.
We we self moderate, and when we can't,
Yeah, we
the
moderate it.
AI does.
Yeah, yeah, kicks in. Exactly, exactly. So yeah, it's here in Colorado. It's all about broadband and bridging the digital divide. And got up on stage, and we gave a shout out to elevate our kids, try to get everybody recognized that uh, IoT Coffee Talk is founded on the backbone of elevate our kids and open the digital. So, yeah, it was kind of cool. You know what I'm saying? Had a lot of good discussions and uh, learning a lot about BEAD, the BEAD Act and all the funding that's going out. The process, which is, oh my God, it's almost so laborious that, it might be like, it might actually put applicants off, where you have to
Wow.
do so much work to get the funding. And then you have to put up, what is it? Like a promissory note or some financial instrument to basically guarantee your commitment to meeting BEAD objectives or their stipulations for um, uh, what you're going to do with that money and how it contributes to um, helping the BEAD program meet its objectives, which is connecting everyone with at least 100 down and 20 up, which sounds really antiquated. You know what I'm saying? It's like you can't hear.
No, no, yes. I just actually I thought it was you, but it was my little Beats thingies. But no, I just switched to my Mac and I can hear you much louder.
Much
Not sure
better.
what's up.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Yeah. Oh my God, I look tired, man. I couldn't sleep. I had like zombie sleep. Horrible. So what have you been up to, man?
Um, it's funny, the deep in the world of RFID,
Uh-huh.
which is cool in that it's another vehicle to complete data acquisition, right? But all the plumbing needs to be there for you to make it from like this data to making it usable. Um, so it's super cool. In the middle of a couple of deployments right now, which is fun and. Yeah.
Implementation work.
What was that?
Implementation work. That's awesome. You're actually
Yes.
deploying stuff.
Yes.
Real.
And spending a lot of time with the customer. And I think one cool thing from where he's talking about sensors and stuff, but RFID being so flexible into the things that you can tag, if you would.
Yeah.
When it comes to implementation, you really spend time with the real front line, like that person
Yeah.
doing pick and pack, that person putting together a thing, that person grabbing a raw material from
Yeah.
inventory, right?
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
super cool because when we make the jump into machinery, I'm
Yeah,
retrofitting, it's different, right? Now you've got a machine operator, but the machine is doing a lot of the process. So I
yeah,
find it super cool
yeah,
that as a practitioner, this RFID sensor lets me chat with true frontline beginning of process people again. So yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
alive and well.
yeah. No, true. I mean, RFID is like pretty different the way that you would approach doing that versus other approaches, which are more, I would say, IoT-ish kind of approaches. What are some of the differences that you're seeing in delivering these things based on RFID? How has it
Uh,
changed? Because before,
well,
man, it used to be, basically you had to figure out how to characterize each point, uh, in the process where you want to track something and then take the identifier of that thing and then contextualize it in the back end. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
You don't have
I mean,
real visibility. It's more like, okay, the beginning actually goes from point A, like
actually, no,
reader A to reader B.
you do, but then there's logic. And what I mean is, so an RFID tag, actually, you know what? Let's not even make it about RFID. Like
Okay.
let's
Yeah.
say I have the ability to know the location of something that has a unique identifier, and I
Yeah.
can marry it to something else. So in this case,
Yeah.
is my little case, right?
Yeah.
And if I know where it is,
Yeah.
I know if it moved and in which direction it moved.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know how long it's been in a place, how long it's
Yeah.
supposed to be in it. So, there's a lot of inference here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but I think the flexibility of the things that you can tag are great.
Yeah.
And funny enough, and of course, I let the people, say what they're going to say, and then I just drop the bullshit hammer. It's amazing the things that RFID has almost been purpose built for. And the one that comes up that I like to point to is that from a per unit cost, like one tag, I don't care which tag you're thinking about, it's just exponentially cheaper than when someone wants to say, no, I want to connect a device here talking, and I'm gonna just shut your mouth. Like you don't know what you're saying. But you know what? It's all about what's the use case, right?
Oh,
Am I following a 25-cent fastener that
yeah.
I don't really care if it gets lost? Or am I following like a piece of an engine that's going to go into a jet fighter for
Yeah.
a country?
Yeah. Yeah.
Very different.
Yeah. Very different. You're making a lot of 5G people really, really sad, especially 5G advanced people. I think we need to be quiet.
No, but here's the thing though. If generally speaking, we're lucky that we get to cover a lot of these things.
Yeah.
There are 100 ways to there are multiple ways to skin a cat,
Yeah.
and we agree. And there are things in tracking that you can do with cellular, and you
Yeah.
can do with BLE, and you can do with it is. I just think it just drives me nuts when a vendor that only supports one of these things is trying to cram their technology into a use case where it makes no financial sense at
Yeah.
all.
It's funny that you brought up the cat thing. There's 100 ways to skin a cat, but there's also 100 cats, right?
Yes.
Really. And so think about all the permutations and how few that is. It's like interesting because I grew up on stage talking about the solution part. So, like right now, the BEAD funding that are allocated to states, so now everybody's going to put their applications in, and now they're committed to the plan.
Leonard, can you switch from like now? It's back to
Can't
how
hear?
it was. It's hard. You're hard to hear. Now I don't hear you at all.
Can you hear?
There we go. There we go.
Really?
Yes. Like, oh man. Like,
Wow.
yeah.
Hold on.
Like,
You don't hear a lot of background noise?
not right now.
Oh my God. It's loud as hell here. I mean, there's like
No.
people talking really, oh, wow. I guess, I'm using my new MacBook Air 15-inch, and I guess it has the voice isolation stuff. I guess it works pretty well. Wow.
Yeah, you're the only person I hear. I don't hear any chit chat back there.
Insanity. Oh, okay. Well, there's one for Apple. But
Yes.
what was I saying? Oh yeah, we were up on stage and we were talking about so the BEAD's funding, they've been or the allocations, the allotments have been made to all the states, right? So now everyone's thinking about planning and figuring out, okay, how we actually implement something that's going to deliver against our commitments. And there's all kinds of options. Obviously, they're talking a lot about fiber, but then there's a lot of wireless guys here too, right? So there's Terragraph, the 60 gigahertz Terragraph guys with their, millimeter wave point-to-point stuff for unlicensed. They have CBRS dudes, they have pretty much microwave, pretty much everything you can imagine. A lot of different options. And one of the things we're talking about is how broad and diverse the toolkit is now. But if you're going to go and try to solve some of these problems and you run into these high cost scenarios, how can you leverage and innovate using some of these tools to lower the cost, right? And the crazy thing is the technology on the wireless front is moving so fast, right? That I think some of the original thinking and estimates that went into the proposals going into BEAD might be obsolete already, right? And we were also talking about longevity. Like IoT Coffee Talk, we always talk about, look, you can't go in here with this like IT mindset that you're gonna let sit there and deploy something and then switch this stuff out in 2 years so that you can make your sales for that year, right? Stuff has to last for a long time. And the same thing with the BEAD stuff, right? This is just implementation, the initial deployment of infrastructure. Now you have to think about, how do we support it? How do we sustain?
Right.
How do we do all this other stuff? And for the wireless stuff, it boils down. I mean, I think also the concern about the OpEx, right? Especially energy, because it tends to be a little bit more expensive to run, right?
Yeah. But in the context of a rural broadband and I don't know. Sometimes I don't like to use the word subsidy.
Yeah.
But a lot of the to deploy what needs to be deployed to cover places might need some help for somebody's business case. I mean, look, at the end of the day, thinking about longevity and the fact that if, again, 100 ways to skin a cat, but also 100 cats, if whatever gets deployed, we can all argue right now that all of these 4G, 5G, CBRS, license, unlicensed, point-to-point, etc., like they're all going to need that backhaul. So if we were to just say, you know what, for the foreseeable future, like fiber is the answer, at least to get these folks, close. Yeah. From a model perspective, if I'm building something out and it's like, oh, the trenches are built, this thing slid up, I just have to take it from, step 2 on. I think that will lower the cost of acquisition for the would-be users. unfortunately, we tend never to think this way, right? And then you end up having 10 people, 10 cats fighting for this finite pool of money to do, right or wrong, a business decision of like, I'm going to build this thing out, but in 3 years, I do want that upgrade contract. I'm going to go change some things here, right? I'm going to plan obsolescence into my delivery.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, this makes no sense to me.
Yeah. But that's the thing that the buyers need to think about, and because the buyers are oftentimes municipalities, right? And so
Yeah.
unless they have like a technical person, and like a lot of the cities in need, they don't have the technical expertise. So you're going to have a bunch of like whatever private partners that are coming in to help deliver the network and maybe provide the support services, but the municipality itself doesn't have that savvy. So how do they push back? How do they validate? How do they clearly understand what the requirements are going in, and then understand the implications of the technical implementation on sustainability as well as just financial viability? I mean, was this the best architecture and technology set for us to use for this, or did we just like really screw ourselves? And like you said, 3 years down the line, these guys are trying to switch out our equipment, and or we're or they disappear. They're no longer exist.
One of these days we're going to get our heads from out of our behinds in terms of contracts that involve taxpayer money. And I think we should make things profitable and also hold people accountable. Like, here's the thing: if you're developing this technology, like it needs to be available and you need to support it for X, and then put a ridiculous penalty. Like, here's the thing, man: the day that things start failing at scale and executives are going to jail, like true jail, like things will just like level out. Because what you're describing of finding the talent, the technology, and the support to deliver decent broadband to a municipality that's far from, like, that's doable. We have the people, we have the tech, we have the know-how, but the model, the service model is just broken. And then, we all get happy when we hear, this community got lit up, but then there's never the follow-up. It's like, oh, what happened? Well, the city didn't have IT staff, or the guy retired, or the consultant went away, and okay, it's nuts.
Yeah, it is. And but going back to your comment about the metrics, lighting the thing up and saying, hey, look, we met, here are the metrics, we met the criteria for quote unquote success, right? All right, first off, I mean, the definition of served, which is minimum of 100 down and 20 up, is like, okay. And we brought this up in IoT Coffee Talk a gajillion times. It's like, what about, how reliable is that? And how the freaking hell are you measuring this? And when you what is really more important? Is it that, or just the applications that it can enable? Is it just all watching YouTube, or are there other things that are, let's say, lifestyle, or livelihood enhancing, that those metrics represent? And it's interesting because yesterday I was having a chat with a Bill about this, about the metrics, and saying, it's kind of like going to be really misguiding for a lot of folks, and maybe this is not aging very well. You know what I'm saying? It's like somebody advised the U.S., the NTIA that, hey, this is the minimum. This is what defines served, the minimum of what of what has to be delivered for people to consider this served. And then it's funny, Dean Bubbly, he posted something on I don't know if it was Twitter or LinkedIn about how goofy metrics were, right? And of course,
I read that this morning.
And I comment on it. I said, dude, it's like, you're so right. I'm over here at Mount Connect, and we just had that conversation. And the thing is, these metrics can lose their meaning very quickly. And the way that people, the behaviors that it can foster can be counter to the initial intent of using those metrics, right? And
true, but if we let's just agree let's agree on some metrics that should be there so that the end users have great service, and that could be X up, X down, and this availability and reliability. And you said that in stone, because it's another thing altogether to try to, control is not the word, but we cannot be delivering rural broadband and thinking about how and how much that end user is going to use what application. Because I like to think about it from a will having internet connectivity bring economic process to this city, to this municipality? The answer is yes. And whether it's just that it brought up two YouTubers that went viral and that meant economic development. Is that any different than someone who had like a real good arts and crafts and went crazy on Etsy? Right? I just want economic development because now they have money, spending that money, and they're going to the grocery store, and the grocery store is hiring more people, so on and so on. So I hopefully we don't get to that where we're expecting, you can do this, but you cannot do that, because that's just a big old mess there.
Yeah, and that's what we want to avoid, right? The big old mess. So
yes.
But
we have enough on our hands. We have enough big old messes on our hands right now. Yes, I have to jump to to make some narrow. So
you actually have a job. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so you're gonna do your job for IoT Coffee Talk and take us out, because you know what? We unanimously decided, we voted, without you, of course, that you are like the best taker-outer of all of us. So do your job.
Let me do my thing. What I do best. So folks, you've made it to yet another episode from IoT Coffee Talk. Leonard coming to you live from Colorado. I am coming to you live from, it doesn't really matter because we have reliable internet. That's all we care about. So as we joke about economic development, if you are economically developed and you need to pick a charity, look no further. Elevate Our Kids is where you need to put your money at, right? We're talking about underserved communities. We're helping these folks out. So thank you for listening. Continue to hit like and share. We're almost at 60% of the world population watching this podcast, this channel. So be part of it and be part of the IoT Coffee Talk revolution. Peace out.
Peace. All right, take care.